Hey guys, welcome back to the Intentional Living Podcast. Today I have my mom on with me.
Hi.
And for those of you who just need to know the backstory, Mom and I are trying to get through this because this is actually our second time recording this because of technical difficulties. So gotta remember all the things. But hopefully this one will actually work this time. But as always, I'm gonna start the podcast by asking how you have lived intentional this week.
This week? It's only Tuesday.
Yes. Well, like
I'm
in
just
the
messing
past
with
week.
you. We have been intentional at our house with some family time. I feel like we've been very busy and go, and haven't even been able to be at church a lot because of baseball and stuff. And so we've been intentional about setting time Sunday evenings just to reconnect with as a family, kind of do a little devotion, just see how everybody's doing. And
Oh, well, that's weird.
why are you doing that too?
No, it's
Why
well,
is that
yes,
weird?
yes, we are, but it's also weird that like you're my family and you guys are doing that, but
well,
I'm not.
I'm like, what?
That's still weird
Well,
to
now
get
you
used
have
to.
your own family.
I know, and we
will
actually do that on Sundays too.
So we haven't done that in a really long time, and I don't know, everything just felt very discombobulated. So, as this podcast, and so I'm joking, but yeah. So that we've been intentional about that the past 3 weeks, and it's going well.
Cool, that's awesome. But anyways, so we're here to talk about today our favorite topic of things, which is all things holistic health and just everything that circles around that. I'm very crunchy. She's very crunchy. I got my crunchiness from her.
I'm crunchy. She's crunchier.
Well, I got my crunchiness from her and then took it to the extreme. Yes. Basically. Mm-hmm. But we're going to start kind of by going again back to my backstory of what I had dealt with as, I guess, a kid growing up, specifically in the women's health world shenanigans, and then how far I've come and how Mom's been a big part of helping me get there, and just kind of like we'll also discuss where she got her love for being interested in this stuff and vice versa and all the things. So I'm sure if any of you have followed a little bit on some of my other intentional living stuff, you've heard little bits of backstories and stuff about what I did deal with as a kid, but feel free to jump in at any point in time. But I'm just going to kind of give a backstory of, for all the boys out there that are listening, have fun with this episode. But actually, it's really good information for you to know. But anyways, so I started my period when I was 12, right? I think that was actually right. It was 6th grade. I know it was 6th grade, which is kind of mind-boggling altogether. And I don't remember it necessarily being horrible right off the bat, but it was not too long after, like maybe by at least right at middle school, because I remember having days where I was in my classes in middle school, and if I had started my period at school, I would be like crying, begging you to come get me, or I'd have to go to the nurse's office, or if I did start on a school day at home, I just wouldn't go to school at all, or if it was like on the weekends or anything, that it would just completely take me out for the whole day. There was nothing else functioning in Kenzie's world on the days that she started her period. It was just awful. Like, I remember many, 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 many days crying, begging my mom to take me to the hospital because it hurt so bad. And I just had extreme debilitating cramps. I bled a ton, like more than, I'm sure a lot of girls feel like you bleed a lot because it seems like a lot, but genuinely I bled a lot. So much so that I was lightheaded a lot of the time. I did end up having to actually go to the hospital in high school for blood loss and cramps, and then they drew more blood, and now I can't stand going and get my blood drawn anymore because of that. But it was just like really horrible. I don't know, what was your point of view when I was experiencing that stuff too?
Well, obviously you feel bad for your kid going through all that stuff and realizing that I don't know what I can do to help. Like, I felt like what we were doing was what we could do to help you, and it wasn't working. And it was just getting me on mind going of like, what are some ways that we can get relief for Kinsey? Because it feels like nothing is like working and she's in constant pain.
And I would take like more ibuprofen than I probably should have at that time,
lots
and
of
it still wouldn't
ibuprofen.
kick, like it wouldn't make a difference.
Yeah. And back up a little bit, like because most of us, when we have period issues or hormone issues, we go to the doctor and they'll just be like, well, sorry, take a birth control.
Yes.
So we're like, okay, we'll try it and
Yeah,
see.
that happened to me basically in mid high school, I would say. We kind of were fed up with it and like, okay, something needs to be done about this. So this was definitely before I had any care in the world about anything like researching on my own or medical, whatever. I used to make fun of mom.
Which
And
during that time, I knew in my heart that wasn't the right thing to do. But just because I've already started researching and had my own experience with birth control, but also I wasn't that far along in my journey of more of a holistic health that I was like, well, she needs relief quickly.
Yeah.
Like, and so let's just try it and see. Like, knowing that I know she wouldn't be on it for long, but still.
And we're going to make two disclaimers here. One, obviously we're not doctors, so what we do highly, highly, highly encourage is doing your own research and not taking really anybody at their word, like doing not even doctors at their word. Do your own research. But two, we are also not advocates for birth control. We don't agree with it, and I think it's just a very band-aid to a big problem kind of thing and can also lead to more problems. So obviously that's kind of where some of my story does stem for. But we did end up going to the OBGYN, and like she was saying, kind of just searching for something that would help me. And we didn't know enough at that time. So I did end up getting on birth control for a little over a year.
Yeah.
I tried a couple different versions of the pill. That's all I've tried. But I do have a lot of also stories about other people who tried all the other kinds too, that, you know, you get stories all across the board. Some people love it, some people hate it, but I just think a lot of people don't do enough research into what it is. But for me, in my scenario, my body just got really used to it really fast.
Yeah, I think it helped for like a few months, and then after that, it wasn't working, and then we're like, well, what's
and
the
it was
point?
kind of causing more problem. Like I feel like I remember it messing with my head more.
Yeah.
It made you just feel, yeah. But then, yeah, all my other symptoms that I was taking this for to try to avoid came back. And so I was like, well, this is not worth it. And I certainly don't want to be. I did have a little bit of recollection at the time that this was disrupting natural things that were supposed to happen in my body. But then I was also being told that the way I was experiencing periods was also not what they're supposed to be. So it was just kind of like, I didn't know enough at that time. But then after birth control, it sent us both on more of a, okay, let's figure this out more on my own personal side of things. Like naturally, I don't really want to be going in and out of doctors, and I certainly don't want to be trying like the implants and IUDs and being down the birth control route forever, because I just knew it wasn't making me feel good. And that's when I started learning more about what birth control is and what it really does and how it's actually not very good for you. So I steered clear of that. And then I ended up starting, I think you actually were the one that encouraged me more of like an anti-inflammatory diet first. We kind of researched that, and that was part of what was really causing cramps being bad. So I started that, and I did it for like 3 months or so, so an anti-inflammatory diet most of the time is no gluten, no dairy, no refined sugar.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's basically it. No caffeine and like limited in alcohol.
Alcohol.
Yeah. Well, at the time I couldn't drink
couldn't
anyways, but yes, that is what it is.
Hopefully, no.
I was not. And so I did that, and it did make a difference for sure. I think that was the first sign of hope, basically, for both of us, but especially for me, that like, okay, there is a path to pursue here, and there's things to learn here, and this actually is making improvements. So I'm going to start exploring this route of things more. So I did anti-inflammatory kind of on and off for a while. When I say on and off too, my main goal became at that point, once I knew it worked, I would go through on my period and like my follicular phase and stuff. I could kind of eat whatever. But then right when I hit like my luteal phase, the 2 weeks before my period, I would switch to anti-inflammatory, and that way like my body had time to adjust and not have so much inflammation.
And those words that you just spoke, a lot of people are like, what? So maybe
Those-
we talk about that in another, like, that's
Yes,
just part
I can
of your,
do another pod. Actually, I
menstrual-
will have a YouTube video coming out
there you go.
this week about the menstrual phase, and then I'll have follow-up
'Cause you
videos
sound
about
kind of
all
foreign
of
when
the
you're like, my lunar.
other phases. But that's just it's not lunar. It's
My-
luteal.
Luteal.
My lunar phase. I think you did this on the last podcast
Did
too.
I?
You said lunar.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. Because I remember being like, it's not the phases of the moon, but I guess it kind of
kinda
is.
is.
But whatever.
Okay.
Mother. Anyways, so I'll explain more on that in other episodes or other YouTube videos and all the things. But the basic short rundown is every woman has 4 phases of their cycle. Every 28 days to 32 days, you go through the menstrual phase is the first one when you start your period. Then it goes to the follicular where you have like more energy building and all that stuff. Then it leads to ovulation. And then after ovulation, you're in your luteal phase where your energy is declining, your hormones are decreasing, all the things that lead you to your period. So that's the short rundown, but I got you for the in-depth stuff. But anyways, it's not the lunar. I'm just
Doesn't the
clarifying
moon have 4
that.
phases?
Honestly, I don't know.
I think it does.
I
I think
can't-
there is like a correlation between
There might be, but I don't really study the moon. I care more about the girls. But anyways,
the girls.
not my boobs.
Sorry.
Can't bring her anywhere. Good gravy.
Okay, continue.
Anyways, so yes, anti-inflammatory diet during the second half of my cycle right before I started my period to just kind of flush my system out. That was working for a while. I started that, I think, like I said, probably that was more late high school at this point.
Yeah.
And I just kind of relied on that for a few years, and it was tolerable. Like, it would make improvements, but I'd still be pretty down and out. My first day, I'd still bleed pretty heavily. It definitely just made it more tolerable. Like, I wasn't as, like, crying, begging mom to take me to the hospital. I was just like, okay, this is not comfortable. Like, I'm gonna rest today. I'm really hurting. But it made it better. So I was like, okay, this is what we're gonna stick with. And I did that for a while. And then, I don't know, through that period of time, Mom and I both, I think, really started learning just more things in general about, like, the world around us and how to, like, heal ourselves and bodies and stuff from all the stuff that's in our food and what to eat and just all those different things. Interest grew in the realm of, I would say it even was broadening more than just my period stuff. It was just like all around we were getting really interested in eating clean, having clean products, non-toxic living, like all those things. But then it's really progressed. So what brought me to really diving in was about last year before the wedding.
Yeah, so
Or, yeah, go ahead.
kind of you're also a symptom of what you had was like extreme mood swings,
Yeah.
where she kind of was crazy. And so
Oh, it only got worse.
So yes, so then she gets engaged and her wedding is coming up. Well, unfortunately, I guess your wedding was closer to a time where you would be starting like your symptoms.
We got
of,
married
like,
a few days before I would have started my period.
yeah. So her symptoms would be in high gear, especially her moods. And I was like, oh no, we're not doing this right before your wedding. I don't want a bridezilla like
Yeah.
where you're just crazy. So I'm like, we got to figure out something. So
But it wasn't even just that. Like, I think what really brought to light how much I was struggling was me living alone, because it had really started
Well,
building.
yeah.
So I was living by myself before Josh and I got married. I was in this apartment since January of 2024. And we got engaged in March. And so, yes, prepping for a wedding, and we had that in mind because we knew I would struggle. But it was also like living alone, you know, being lonely and all that stuff when you get in your head. Like, when we say my mood swings were crazy, I mean, like, there's this thing called PMDD, which at this moment I can't think of what it stands for. Can you? menstrual
Dysphoric
dysphoric disorder or something like that. So it's basically like the extreme version of PMS, like way more than what you're supposed to be dealing with. And I was genuinely going crazy. Like it was one of those things that I knew I wasn't right in the mind. I was affecting everybody else around me. And then knowing that I was affecting everybody else around me, it was making me feel even worse and then made me it was just like a non-ending spiral. And so living alone just escalated that because it was like, obviously, I'm listening to just my mind and all the things. When the 2 weeks before my period would come up, it was just everything everybody did in the world bothered me. Everything was just terrible. And so we definitely were realizing, like, okay, this isn't normal. And I think, like I said, just living alone really brought that. It's something I had dealt with probably this whole time. It just didn't seem as prevalent until I was like, okay, like this is getting scary. This is getting really frustrating. And mom caught me crying on my hands and knees in my living room one day when she came over unexpectedly. And that was kind of like the wake up call. Her dancing in my back door, trying to be funny. And then her looking down and realizing like I'm actually like screaming at the world.
So that got to me. I
Which
was like, okay,
it was
need to figure out
embarrassing,
something.
but I think that was like the intervention that needed to
Did
happen.
some research, some more. I highly recommend Dr. Axe. He's a functional medicine doctor, but he's out there on the internet. He has lots of information, and it's easy to understand and read. So I just Googled him and just talked and just searched like period issues and how to resolve that. And
I think you search PMDD
Yeah.
specifically as well.
so then it pops up like different supplements and everything to take, and I'm like, okay, we gotta figure out some of them. Just take whatever and let's see what you can do. So I got together a list of supplements to take. Well, in the meantime, she had an appointment with a functional doctor that's around here. It's called Spirit of Health, and I actually went there today, and maybe we could talk about that later, like future.
Right.
And we went in there just to talk about your just period health and inflammation and all that stuff. And we talked to her about those supplements, and all she had was good things about them. And she's like, oh yeah, definitely try that kind of stuff. So we're like, okay, we have a plan. So you started taking them, and
Yeah, so I started, basically, I call it my little supplement cocktail. So it was what I take, and I still currently take to this day, is magnesium, a higher dose of that, which I could go into a ton of reasons why everybody needs to be having a sustainable amount of magnesium. And then I take St. John's wort, which is really good for like brain level and like focus and anxiety reducing and stuff like that. It keeps you very zen per se, like more stable. But it's a natural herb, so it's like something that's aiding your body and actually enhancing on what your body's already doing rather than something that's like changing the disruptions of your body functions. And then I take a good healthy or a good quality omega-3 vitamin, and
Vitex.
I take Vitex, but I was going to say that
sorry.
one for last.
Oh,
Because I want to elaborate on that one. But I think I take vitamin D, and is that it? With Vitex? I think so.
I think so.
And then, not me over here. I'll just go get it. No, I'm just kidding. But then I take Vitex, and that's the one that I think has made like the night and day difference between what I used to experience versus now. And that one is a bit more of a higher level supplement per se. Like it takes 3 months for it to actually kick in and for you to see results in your body. But I would argue I actually started seeing some improvement right away within the next period after I started this. But it has reduced like so much of my symptoms. I don't bleed near as heavily. I'm sure it's also a mix of several of the things that I do too, but I would really tie back a lot of my reduced cramping to Vitex because that's one of the symptoms it's known to relieve. And when I tell y'all, I went from, like we expressed, begging my mom to take me to the hospital, I hurt so bad, to now I don't even cramp on my period. And it is insane how much that has changed. And then also, For real though, it's like I'm like,
Yeah.
what is life? All I need to do is just be like resting a little bit on my period day, but I'm not like screaming in pain. I can do the things I need to get done. I'm, oh, it is heavenly. It has made such a big difference to myself and everyone else around me, and also
Yes.
my I think I can say that I feel more normal in my brain too, and it's also been told by the people around me and like Josh and everybody that sees me all the time too, that now it has made it was big game changer too for not only the like pain symptoms and everything, but also I'm just now like your typical up and down mood swings on PMS rather than a gigantic roller coaster that it once was, and it has balanced me out in so many ways. And so it's actually funny because I, like a couple months ago, had gotten to a point where I ran out a few of my vitamins, and I was like, well, maybe I've like solved this enough that I don't need to have them or whatever, so I might just not buy them and see what happens. And mom was like, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, I'm gonna see what happens. Literally within like a week or so, all of those things started to come back, and I was like, okay, well, that what that did do is give me confirmation that this is actually helping me and I
Right.
need to stick to it. So whether that's in the foreseeable future for me forever or not, so be it, because it has been a game changer, and of course I would much rather rely
Well,
on
our
something
bodies will
like that.
fluctuate and change anyway,
Right.
so different stages of different things, you're
Right.
gonna be taking different stuff. So
Right, like those probably won't be applicable during like pregnancy and stuff
probably not. I don't know.
necessarily and all that, and so it'll change, but that's why it's important to research and study your own body and figure out like trial and error what would be good for you, because yes, everybody's a little bit different. Like those specific vitamin concoctions probably wouldn't aid you specifically in what you
Right.
need exactly, but they have changed the game for me. But if anybody like me struggles with period symptoms and all of that, my biggest recommendation as a place to start would be going and trying Vitex. It has been amazing.
And food changes, I think.
Yes, 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 yes. Coupling that, but if I'm being flat honest, I have not really been eating anti-inflammatory necessarily for a while. I've just been really trying to focus on making
Well,
my
I think
foods
as
like
you
at
start,
home. Yes.
like when you're ready, you need to detox some of your body. So starting out that way, and then you can reintroduce, and you can be fine. Like you're at a point
Right.
where you've got your body and it's more stable, where you
Right.
can.
Yes. And I still am very aware of what I'm eating. So like though I'm eating gluten and dairy or whatever, like I'm very more mindful of what my source of those is per se, not so much just like
We kind of joke with her a lot because it's like, are you GF this week or are we regular? Like,
you have never once said, "Are you GF?"
not GF, but she'll come one week and be like, I'm gluten and dairy free, so we got to make it.
Also,
And then
this is a complete random side note, but every time that trash company, the GFL trash company comes by, the green trash trucks, we have them here at this apartment complex. I read their trucks that say gluten-free life, but that's not at all what they are. But I
never
just
noticed.
read it
Like,
as
I've
that.
never
I'm like, oh,
thought
there's
of
the
that
gluten-free trucks.
the dork.
But that was a side note. But yes, there have been many times where I'm like, oh, I'm really going hard on the gluten and dairy free again. And then I'm like, oh, but that sandwich sounds really good or something. So I don't. But that is a testament to say, like, I really have regulated my body enough now that, like, that is not so detrimental to me where it used to be.
And the bigger picture of all that is just the food we consume
Yes.
is toxic to our body. Like, and so I don't know. That's another rabbit hole that we can go
Yes.
down another time.
Oh, but another rabbit hole too, though, is I've also in this process not only focused on my women's symptoms, but I've also really focused on my gut too, which is somewhat hand in hand because you can also attest to this. I used to have like
Yes.
the bend over, I need to run to the bathroom right now kind of stomach aches that were almost daily, I would say. And very like my foods would trigger. We thought I had IBS at one point, but I don't even think I do now
That's what I'm working on right now.
because I've solved that problem too, and I've never I can't tell you the last time I had a stomachache, and my poops are normal for once in my life. I've never experienced that before. And I'm like, oh my gosh, now I understand why it's like not supposed to be detrimental when you go into the bathroom, and I can actually poop fast.
I know. Okay, that's another thing. Sorry, I was like, why are you telling me this? And then I'm like, yeah, I'm guilty of that too. But I don't know, being in the bathroom a long time.
Yeah, it was bad.
Having issues.
But yeah, so that's like my big circle of things that I've worked through. But I will be going into more depth on specific things in future episodes, and also like YouTube videos that I was referencing and all of that stuff. But that was kind of like the general thing that I think was a really big boost for both you and I. Like you said, you were getting interested in healthy living and holistic living and stuff, but I think this was really the first opportunity that we were able to steady and actually see results and really work for. And now it's kind of branched into all things of our life. But I do want to know what kind of got you interested in that altogether and started make you questioning like what you were doing before, or what things you wanted to do with your different children that were spread out and all those things.
Okay. Well, like obviously I didn't grow up thinking through any of this. I mean, when I think back on like growing up, it just seems a lot less. It's a lot easier in one way. You don't care. I mean, I was eating whatever I wanted. Didn't think anything about fast food, doctors, anything like that. So one way of being naive to that stuff is, I guess, easy, but in the long run, it definitely is not the easy way out, because you'll regret it. You'll have issues, and we're still dealing with all this years later. So, like I said, I didn't grow up that way. My parents are very unhealthy. Sorry, Mom, if you're listening to this. You know you are. So I guess maybe always in the back of my mind because of that, like, I just wanted to think, I don't know, I'm psychoanalyzing myself, like maybe like wanting to search a little bit more in the health of like how I can be a healthier person and not have the same issues that my mom and dad did. But still wasn't doing anything. I was in my 20s when I got pregnant with Kinsey, like early 20s. Didn't do anything.
Really early 20s.
Yeah, 21, but that's, I guess
but
that's
I'm saying
early,
like I guess that's early. That's literally the very beginning of your 20s.
So yeah, so I just did what I want. Of course, when you're pregnant, you want to eat whatever, and I definitely ate whatever and gained a lot of weight. Was not healthy, but knew I was like, I'm not doing myself or my child to be any favor in doing that. But I'm 20. Who cares?
I really
right?
enjoyed that pizza.
Yeah. So fast forward a few years down the road, I get pregnant again with my daughter Ellie, and I just remember like I was cleaning our bathroom one day and just inhaling like the bleaches and all that stuff, and I'm like, I don't know, it just made me feel sick, and I was like, this is not good. This is something about this is not right. Like I know we all grew up like we need to bleach everything that kills all the germs, disinfects and all that, but I was just like, there's something about, I don't know, just something in my head was just like, this isn't right. So that was kind of my first like full memory I can think of like there's something different that needs to be done than what I'm doing in that aspect. Ellie gets born, and poor girl has had since day one a lot of issues regarding like sensitivities, like very sensitive to her skin, allergies, the list goes on and on, anxieties, different things. I'm not saying that what I did caused all that, but at the same time, just the environment and probably the food I enjoy, I don't know, different things. I'm not saying it didn't, but so seeing her struggle with some issues with that, I just kind of got me thinking again, just in my mind, the back of my mind, like, I think there's something missing and there's something better that I could be doing for our family and how we live and how to be healthier. So as the girls were growing, God kept putting people in my life that just kind of made me think and challenge some things, whether that be vaccinations. I know that's a touchy subject. Just don't get all
Don't
judgy
come
on
at
me
us.
right now, but just do your research on that. Just about healthy eating regarding like more clean foods, like whole foods, but also beyond that, just going more organic because all the food that we have is sprayed with a lot of chemicals and stuff that actually disrupt our bodies. So yeah, like whole foods, less processed, and then just exercising, meditating spiritually, and just getting your body healthy in a place. So I've essential oils. I know people are back and forth on that, but through all that, I mean, it talks about just how your body and using different things other than all the medicines and everything out there. So like I say, that was over years of the girls growing up. God just put people in place to make me think and want to research and be like, oh, this is all kind of making sense. Like, just seeing where my family and the struggles they have with their health and everything they've been trying only works for a short bit, but then it doesn't, kind of like with our birth control. I'm like, this doesn't make sense either. And I feel like they're just giving them more and more stuff. Here, try this, take this. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not working. So then we get to Trace. He comes later on down the road.
He's 9 years younger than me.
Yeah. So by that time, I was 30, and I'm like, yeah, I want to get healthier for myself, for my children, all that kind of stuff. So I would say since Trace was born, I've really focused more on that kind of stuff. And then when he was born, I looked at vaccines a little bit differently and how that affects our bodies, and how I wanted to do it differently with him. And then I started clean eating, like I mentioned before, just a lot more organic for my children as well, because I know everything that they ingest right now, their bodies are still growing and changing, and anything they put in their mouth will affect them later on down the road. Yeah, so just kind of through all that, I've grown a lot. Started really small, but through all that process, I've grown and learned and have experienced the benefits of all that. And then, like Kinsey was saying, I think when she was really struggling with the periods, and honestly, both my girls have had issues, extreme period issues in different ways. Then just really researching it. I also think COVID really got me
That's true.
eye-opening to different things of like, so yeah, it's been a process, but yeah. So anyways, I just think in the past few years, especially,
Yes.
is where my mind is like, okay, we really got to think through things a little differently and how we can help our families in a different way other than what we've been used to for years and years, and to see if there's other options out there that will benefit for us. And so far, so good.
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
for sure. And just like, I think that the main thing that has changed really is just doing more research about everything before we make a
Yes.
rash decision, whether that's like doctor visits or even starting something.
and-
Like, it's just,
I'm not like, I think there's importance for both. I think there is definitely a time for a doctor and medicine, like antibiotics in a certain, aspect, but there's also, it's a good mix of having both. Like, God provided all of this for
Exactly.
thousands and thousands of years, and
exactly. And I
for-
think, go ahead,
for a
sorry.
purpose and a reason for
Right.
that. Why just shut all that off and
Right.
go? So
And because, like, you have to think about it multiple things. Like, we live in a fallen world, so, like, a doctor not always actually has the best interest of a patient. I'm not, like, saying there aren't doctors out there that truly do, or sometimes that is, but that's why you actually, like, just like you can't, I'm not sitting here saying everything we say right now is like what you need to be doing, and just like that, you can't take a doctor like that. That's why there's so many people that just haven't done enough digging for themselves, and they just take people at their word. And what our main thing that we've advocated for in our lives and changing in like our family and stuff is just not addressing symptoms, but addressing what the symptoms stem from, like
Which
the root causes.
definitely,
and
I was
stuff
just going
like
to say that. And that's why I went to the doctor or Spirit of Health for, because yeah, usually half the time when we go to the doctor, it's because we have a symptom of something. Like, I mean, I'm not talking about sickness like strep or anything like that. I'm just
Right.
talking about, hey, I just don't feel right. So, like me, my hormones, I'm starting like, I'm 45 and things aren't just working like they used to. And I'm just like, I'm tired of how I'm feeling. My body's doing this weird thing. Like, and I can go and I've been to the OBGYN, and again, they'll just be like, well, try this hormone replacement therapy. And again, sorry, I'm not downing that. There's actually, if things don't work out, if you have it severe, they do recommend hormone replacement if that's like the last straw. But like you were saying, we want to get to the root of it. So talking to this lady, the doctor I had today, yes, I could have a hormone imbalance, and I do have some, and we'll figure that out going forward. But she was saying how the root cause of all that is actually probably in my gut, which caused from like, I've always had gut issues as well. Kenzie's doing better about it than I have. I'm better than I used to be, but obviously I'm still struggling. And then compounding with lots of stress in the past 5 or 6 years. And she mentioned that, I mean, that could take years before symptoms show, like stress in your body and then cortisol anyway. So between stress and gut issues, then it's leading towards, yeah, my hormones are changing in some ways because of that. But if we can get those two more under control, then your body can balance out. So I can go off on a tangent again. Like my mother deals with like chronic pain and inflammation, but that can be dated back to like trauma in your life that you're undealt with. And again, I'm not saying you're going to not deal with pain and you're not going to deal with stuff, but there's always something, there's a reason why your body is reacting this way and that
Yeah.
usually you have to like find out what the core issue is.
And the same
And then
was
go.
for mine. Like the birth control only somewhat helped mask the bleeding and the cramping per se, but also like birth control is taking away a real period, so that wasn't actually addressing the root cause.
Right,
And then
because
we
that's like
circled,
a natural process.
Right.
And I know periods
And-
are frustrating. Everybody doesn't want a period so you can enjoy life. I get that, but
But honestly, I argue against that now. Like
Yeah.
I actually am so like fascinated and thankful for the natural processes
Yeah.
of my body. Like I love being on my period and knowing that it's what it's supposed to feel like now. Like
right.
genuinely, periods shouldn't be as life altering as they are. That's why if they are, you have to do the digging as to what made them that way. And like for me, I figured out my hormones were also off, and I was thankfully able, at least so far, like we said, it like I will have to adjust as I get older and stuff, and after like having kids and all that jazz. But like my root cause was also hormone imbalance, and my gut was messed up. And now that those things have been addressed, sorry,
Ow.
my life has been completely changed for the better because I'm not so like thrown off, and I don't dread
And
starting my
unfortunately,
period.
I think, I mean, it's showing itself like my generation, not so much problems, but starting to get problems. But like I'm noticing like your all's generation and kids coming up, it's
Yep.
just, we're all bombarded with so much stuff that is a disruptor to our body. So
Yes.
I mean, honestly, I think everybody's going to be dealing with something like in its environment and social, all that kind of stuff. We're just, that's that's just something that I think you all going for are really going to have to work through. But you're
Right.
like, just all these changes definitely help
Right.
do different
And it's
things.
also like, just like I was speaking on, because we're in a fallen world, like we can't always trust doctors, and we also can't always like trust that everything man-made or whatever is automatically the best thing for us. Like everything needs to be taken with a grain of salt and needs to be discerned, and you have to do like your own research and your own discerning with the Lord and everything too. But God literally gave us an earth full of all the resources that we need. Like there's things that are natural that he's given us for us to learn our bodies and all of that stuff. And so it's like sometimes I'm like, it really is mind, body, spirit are truly all connected because they all just play together so much. And it's like you need to be kind of really intentional with all of those avenues, because if one's out of sync, then they're all out of sync kind of thing. And some of it really does stem with like God gave us plants and whole foods to eat and all the things, and we as a society and just over the generations have been like, let me take the idea of a hamburger, but infuse it with all these terrible, crappy chemicals and things. And let me take the idea of us, like, supplementing with plants and all that jazz to help heal things, but I'm going to take it with chemicals and stuff that are in medicine and all that jazz. Like, it's just kind of get back to the roots and the basics, and like I said, do your own research. But everything needs to be just take it one step at a time, because same in the health world just as much in the doctoral world, like you can get crazy with it as well. So it's just,
so what are your top 3? Okay, I'm moving because, sorry people,
Okay.
my legs,
You're good.
crapoly. Just why don't we name your top 3? Like, if we want to, the person listening to this and be like, holy crap, this is overwhelming.
Right.
What are the
You
top?
just have to start small. Start
and
one at a time.
What would be your top?
But
3?
yes, if I could narrow 3 things down that I would think are the most important, at least from what I've experienced altogether, like I'm not just going to talk about period wise, like just health wise altogether. Mine are getting
sorry.
mine are
Thank you. You do it too. Like,
getting rid of all the artificial fragrances in your home, because those are they're really bad hormone disruptors, like really bad, but also it's just not good for you to be inhaling and breathing in those things. And now if I get anywhere near something like that, I immediately get a headache, and there's a reason for that. So just finding alternatives for that, like instead of candles, there are like healthy candles that you can dig in. So sorry, Bath and Body Works is not where you're going to get your healthy candles, but there are places you can. And then like I do essential oil diffusers and stuff like that. And then there's different brands that have higher quality perfume. And even though you're never really going to find necessarily 100% non-toxic perfume, but you learn to just spray it on your clothes instead of directly on your skin and all that jazz. So that's one big one, because those are just bad. Also in your cleaning products and all that stuff too, there's a lot of artificial fragrances in that, and your laundry detergent, all the things. So just start small again, but avoiding artificial fragrances is a big one. And then for me, I would say water filter. Not drinking tap water and all that stuff. I've even gone one step further, and now I have a shower filter for my skin and my hair.
See, she's crunchiest.
I am really crunchy,
I
but
haven't gotten that far yet. But I would love to have a whole house filtration
One day
system.
when Josh and I have a house, that's my ultimate goal, is to have fully clean water all over the house. But like starting with drinking water, because it's funny, Josh, if you're listening, we have this argument all the time that though the city approves that you can drink water through your home, it gets rid of like the stuff that's going to make you literally vomit or die if you drink it. But it doesn't get rid of all the extra hormones, all the extra like metals and all the things that are still not good for us to actually have, that have been known to disrupt our body functions, especially as women. So getting a filter, can you tell we've had some tips about that one? But getting a filter to eliminate more of those things is really strongly advised. And then Mama doesn't really stand by this one. She hasn't tried it. I still really think she should, but I swear by my colostrum. I will never not go a day without taking that again. I will never not have that again. That will never not be a thing in my family again.
But the problem is, it's like not the cheap. I don't know. That could be. It's not the cheapest thing. Like
it's not any more expensive than any other supplement.
But I think okay.
Like you spend about $30 a month on your supplements, don't you?
Don't you?
Don't you?
I'm sorry.
She's just over here to make fun of me now. But don't you?
Yeah, but
so this Armra colostrum breaks down to about $33 a month. Because one can lasts you 100 days, 100 servings, and it's $100, or it's 90 days, $100. So there you go. $33 a month.
No, I'm not really like downing it or whatever. I just think
But
when you're starting out.
Anyways, no, if you're starting out, just go get the colostrum. Don't buy all the other supplements. That's what I would say.
Okay.
I think that is truly what has healed my gut completely. It's really good for you. So what it is like colostrum is actually what comes out of your mom's boobies when she's breastfeeding you in the early stages of baby, but it's really something that you need your whole life. So they get it from a cow, put it in a powder form, and you take it. And it is really good for your gut, your hair, skin, nails, all the things. My hair has never been this long and never been this healthy. Ever. And this is also coming from post the days that I freaking scorched my hair from dyeing it blonde, which we don't need to talk about that. But
We should.
I just love my colostrum, and I think it has like prebiotics, probiotics, all the things kind of in one. So that's why I say if you can't do everything, start there. And then I'm going to say one more little side tangent before Mom tells you her three things, is one that healthy living, unfortunately, is an investment, but you just have to kind of evaluate your priorities in life too, because it can be affordable. You just might have to also sacrifice some other things. Or also, like I said, just start one at a time. Something is better than nothing. So taking one thing of your life that was toxic or harming you and supplementing it with something else that's better for you, that is better than not doing it at all. Even if you can't do everything. Because I still can't do everything. I still have a long list of things that I would still like to do, but made a lot of difference already. So now I'll close my mouth and it's your turn.
Fine. No, I'm not. Just kidding. No, it's good. I just have two things. Basically, piggyback on you. Getting the toxins out of your house, like the chemical things we clean with and everything. Get rid of that kind of stuff. So like vinegar is a good one, and that's cheap, and you can make your own little cleaning concoctions. I know not everybody likes the smell of vinegar, but it's better than inhaling bleach all the time. And I don't know, you can go out to the stores and buy cleaning products that are non-toxic anymore.
I get mine off Thrive Market.
Yeah, so they're not that expensive, honestly. Second thing, your food for real, like clean eating. I think if those are the two things, and you can actually do that pretty cheap anymore.
I would agree with that one.
So they all talk about like the dirty dozen or whatever. So fruits and veggies, especially, buy organic. Don't buy non-organic.
And wash them.
But
please wash them.
You can get a lot of frozen organic foods that are cheap, like at Aldi's or Costco. It's not that bad. Foods that contain hormones, which are like meats and stuff, you need to find something that doesn't. So like clean eating, organic, grass-fed meat. Mm-hmm. Just because, like I said, they pump the meat, those animals full of hormones, which then you ingest them, and that's why we're all dealing with hormonal issues.
I will link all of my favorite products below, by the way, and why I say that is because
I thought you were going to stop talking so I can
Good Ranchers.
You can talk really about them in a minute. Sorry.
This is what you get having mom and daughter episode.
Because then my brain is not be like, what was I talking about? You interrupted.
Grass-fed meat.
I know. So food in general, like processed, like I know, and I'm not 100%, obviously. I give my kids nerd clusters, and my son is obsessed with candy and all that stuff. But anyway, just limit the amount of processed foods we feed ourselves, like chips, all those sweets and everything. If you're going to do it, try to make more homemade sweets and stop, let me finish.
I have so many things.
Because yes, sugar is bad for us, and overconsumption of sugar is bad, but making more homemade cookies is still a lot better than going and buying Chips Ahoy and all that kind of crap. So please, I see this in school all the time. I work in the schools, and I just want to grab all the I know
all the junk
all
food.
The stuff. I'm like, don't eat it. But anyways, I'm telling you, it really is important. Like what you put in your mouth definitely sets you up for what is going to happen for you in the future. So those are my two main things: food and cleaning products, or like what she was saying, what makeup, lotions, all that jazz. Then move forward and continue your journey of
I guess
like what
food is higher on the priority list than my colostrum.
yes,
But
that's an added bonus that like
still,
is a great additive. But what did they do back in the old days? That's why I'm curious. Like, did they
breastfed
no? But like
like children for like several.
your kids, but like we wouldn't.
Oh.
Will we
No.
grab a cow's teat and like put it? I don't know. Like what would we? So I'm just saying, with the modernization of America, like
actually
I think
drank the
I don't know.
straight
I'd like
cow's
for you to
whatever.
research that. Actually,
I
before
should.
we-
Did they grab their cow's
So
teat?
in one way, I mean, healthy living is awesome, but I mean, it's just funny
in
how like,
anything,
yeah,
it needs to be taken in moderation.
Yeah.
Because just like she said, I was actually just telling a girl I went to coffee with this about the other day. That I was like, my problem now is because I'm so on the countryside that I'm going to have to be the mom that like becomes okay when my husband gives them
yes,
like
or they're at a birthday
candy
party,
bar,
or they're at a
eating
friend's house,
cake.
yes.
Like it's gonna be fine.
It
That
will
one
be
time
fine.
is not gonna kill them. Like
No.
everything's okay in moderation. And also, it's funny that I even say that because
You
like
just had
I literally had
Cadbury
Cadbury mini
mini
eggs.
eggs.
Like so. But I'm just saying, I'm gonna be more concerned for my children than I am for me. Like but it's true. It's like the majority, like 80% of your life at least, needs to be healthy and intentional and clean and whole. And the 20 other percent, you can go enjoy your chocolate cake or go have your, I don't know, your Reese's peanut butter cups or something like that. Whatever your thing is. But then my other thing was the 80-20 thing is really important. But also I heard a phrase, and I think this is so true, that if you're really intentional about the sources of your ingredients and your foods in your home, you can pretty much eat everything you want in life if you just make it at home.
Right.
Like you
Still
were
in
saying.
moderation though, the sweets and everything.
Yes, but like you were saying, like if you're really wanting cookies, just make them at home. If you're really wanting brownies,
Sam,
honestly,
if you're listening, do you know what I want right now?
her recipe of oatmeal chocolate chip cookies,
Yeah.
mine are better.
Why? They're the same.
No, they're not. I don't use shortening and all that
I don't use
stuff,
shortening, I use butter.
but mine are better and they're gluten free.
Oh Lord.
I'm just kidding. Love you, Sammy. Anyways,
They're still the same.
no, they're not. I don't use the same recipe. She can attest. She was here when I made them. Okay. We're fighting over you on camera. Anyways. But it's true. Like, also, you can find a lot of good alternatives for things that still will taste sweet and take that sweet tooth, but also actually, like, have healthier things in them. Like, I made brownies the other day that are actually sourced with sweet potatoes, and there's really no sugar in them, and it's, like, honey or
This
whatever.
should be another podcast, though.
Yes. Recipes with me. I'm a really good baker, but I'm not a good cook. But I have a husband that's a really good cook, so maybe we can collaborate.
I'm neither.
Oh. You can come
Don't
try
pet
the
me.
foods. You can come try the foods.
I don't do horrible. It's just I don't like to cook, so it's not like.
I liked your barbecue chicken nachos. The
Anyways.
crock pot cooked the chicken really well, and you did really good at throwing the stuff together.
Yeah. That's what cooking is.
Not really. And cooking requires more.
All right,
than
we
just...
need to finish.
Anyways, thanks, Mommy.
Before we get, your hand is freezing.
The discombobulation. Anyways, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. And don't you worry, there will be more of these to come. So stay tuned, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.